إن أردتم أن تكونوا شامة بين الورى فاقتفوا آثار جيل للمعالي سطرا إن أردتم أن
We also find from the manners of being with your wife and being good to her is to actually overlook her mistakes, because everyone makes mistakes. Human beings, they're human beings. And as we know, the hadith states that women were created from a crooked rib. And the most crooked of a crooked rib is the top part of it. So we know that the women are actually more emotional than men. At the same time, just like women are more emotional, they are more softer and gentler as well in many ways. So just like they have a deficiency in one part of their emotions, they make it up with a greatness or a perfection in another type of their emotion. And so, in the same way as men, for example, could be logical in their understanding and more and less emotional about certain topics, at the same time, they make it up by actually being poor in other things, such as in controlling their desires or in controlling their hearts, controlling their eyes. And so we find that in reality, men and women, they have different emotional dispositions. We find that Rasulullah ﷺ used to forgive his wives and used to overlook the mistakes that they used to do. In fact, in one narration, we find that Aisha radiallahu anha, once Salama radiallahu anha, she actually bought a plate of food for Rasulullah ﷺ and his companions. So Aisha radiallahu anha, in authentic hadith in Muslim, in Bukhari, she came with a hajar, with a big stone. She saw that plate. Remember, this is in front of all the companions. Alright, imagine if your wife did this in front of your mates. And subhanallah, and he came with this big stone, saw the plate of food, and went bang, and broke the plate in half. So Rasulullah Allah understand. Anyway, Rasulullah was amazed at this thing that Aisha radiallahu anha did. And so what did he do? He went into Aisha radiallahu anha's hut and he took her plate. And he told the companions, Kulu, gharat ummukum. He said, eat, even your mothers have ghira, even your mothers have jealousy, So he took that plate and he went to Salama and said, this is for that. Her plate, take her plate because she broke your plate. Subhanallah. So we find Rasulullah forgiving Aisha radiallahu anha as well. We also find Rasulullah joking with her and telling her when she used to get angry, and telling her how she gets angry. So Rasulullah once in authentic narration Nasa'i, he said, Wallahi, I know when you get angry at me. This is Rasulullah telling Aisha radiallahu anha, I know when you get angry at me. So Aisha said, how do you know how you get angry? Tell me how I get angry at you. What is it that I do? So Rasulullah said that when you get angry, when you're happy with me, you swear by Allah and say, I swear by the Lord of Muhammad ﷺ. But when you get angry at me, you say, I swear by the Lord of Ibrahim And it's amazing. And another narration which is not authentic, but the companions use it, but the scholars of Islam use it as a witness. They say that sometimes Aisha radiallahu anha used to say that you're doing this and you call yourself a prophet? Subhanallah, imagine sometimes our wives do that, isn't it? You do this and you call yourself a Muslim? You do this and you call yourself a sheikh? You do this and you call yourself a mutawwa? Huh? You do this and you think you're religious? You do this and you think you're knowledgeable? It's out of the anger sometimes they say. So learn to forgive them, insha'Allah, and overlook this mistake, insha'Allah. It's no big deal. Rasulullah did that and he taught us how to do it, insha'Allah, so we can also overlook it and also forgive them, bi'idhnillah. Another way that Rasulullah used to be with his wives was to actually joke with them as well. So he would joke with his wives. In fact, we find in one of the narrations, in Nasa'i again, authentic narration made authentic by Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah, is that Rasulullah once was going on a travel trip with Aisha radiallahu anha. And he was in this travel with Aisha radiallahu anha going to a battle. And on the way, he told some of his companions, go forward, keep going forward, meaning go forward in front of me. Then he said that the hadith states that he took Aisha radiallahu anha down from the camel and she said, run with me, meaning let's have a race. So he actually had a race, and Aisha radiallahu anha actually came first. So she actually beat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Couple of years later, the same thing happened, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, remember this is Rasulullah doing it. He actually told his companions, go forward, and he took Aisha radiallahu anha down, and Aisha said, this is when I had actually put on more weight. So I actually ran with her, and this time he defeated me, and he said, he smiled at me and said, this is for that. And subhanAllah, so he used to joke with Aisha radiallahu anha as well. Also another narration, we find that Aisha radiallahu anha once, she had cooked something, she had cooked the same tharid again, and she wanted to actually give Safiya, the wife of Rasulullah, some of that food. And at that point, this is authentic narration in Nasai again. Remember, a lot of the things I'm saying is from Nasai, because if you want to really learn about how to be with your wife, properly look at Ushrat al-Nisa, living with your wife, in the chapter of living with your wife in Nasai, because it contains a lot of authentic ahadith which are very unique and very amazing, beautiful. In this hadith, Aisha radiallahu anha, she was sitting down in her house, she had made and cooked some tharid, and Safiya radiallahu anha had come in. And Aisha said, eat from this food. She said, no, I'm not going to eat. So Aisha said, Wallahi, you're going to eat. Okay? She said, what? Wallahi, you're going to eat. And Safiya said, no, I'm not. So Aisha took some food like this, and went smack, and threw it. And threw it on, and it actually hit Safiya radiallahu anha on her head. Now we're going to have a food fight here, right? No, inshallah, alhamdulillah, it wasn't a food fight. Rasulullah at that point, he looked at Aisha and he took the food off Safiya radiallahu anha's head and he threw it back on Aisha radiallahu anha's head. Okay, so and he laughed and he joked. So this is how they were joking and laughing, alhamdulillah. Obviously, please don't have food fights. It's not right. I'm sure when they were throwing everything around, I'm sure they eventually ate that. But don't throw your food around, don't spill food. Don't waste food, please. Jazakallah khair. From the things that Rasulullah also used to do for his wives, as well, is that he would help out in the house. And it's the ninth thing that I mentioned, is that he would help out in the house. And this is something which is specific to Rasulullah, after all the difficulties that he went on, and after looking after the ummah, he would come back home and also look after and help out in the house. This does not mean that the wife should now start expecting from their husbands that the husbands now need to do all the housework. No, I'm sure our respected sisters and honorable sisters understand that what we mean here is that they should not really busy the husbands with housework, but at least they should know that the husbands should also still help them, and that they should expect the husbands to help them in whatever little way that they can. And the husbands must have the manners, inshallah, to actually help the wives in their housework, inshallah, to the best of their ability, inshallah. If the dishes need to be done sometimes, or the ironing needs to be done sometimes, or the washing needs to be done sometimes, you should go ahead and do it. And why should you expect your wife to go and put the trash out or to put the clothes out? It's something which the husband should be doing. Okay. Another point that Rasulullah used to do when he was with his wives is that he would actually take their advice. He would actually take their advice in the matters and affairs of the ummah. And this is an important point. Allah says in the Qur'an, وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. Take their advice. Does anyone know to whom this verse was revealed? This verse was revealed to Rasulullah, meaning this verse was revealed to someone who is ma'soom from making error, right? He's someone who cannot make a mistake. Rasulullah in the deen, he cannot make a mistake in the deen. So this verse has been revealed to someone who cannot make a mistake, to take advice from someone who can make mistakes. The companions of Rasulullah. So this therefore shows the importance of someone like us who can make mistakes to take advice from other people as well, who can make mistakes as well. Because someone who is ma'soom, if he's ordered to take advice, then indeed someone like us as well, who is full of mistakes, must also take advice. And this is why Rasulullah used to seek the advice and counsel of his wives as well. We find an authentic hadith in Sahih Muslim, Rasulullah taking the advice of Salama at the time of Treaty of Hudaybiyah, when the companions were disappointed that they could not complete their umrah. At that point, Rasulullah went inside the tent, and he looked disappointed. And Salama radiallahu anha said, "Oh Rasulullah, what is the matter?" And Rasulullah said, "I've told them, and I've signed the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and they are unhappy." meaning the Muslims are happy about this. Even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed a verse at that point. You know what verse He revealed? إِنَّا فَتَحْنَا لَكَ فَتْحًا مُبِينًا. Verily we have given you a tremendous victory. Allah had called the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, in which the Muslims, in which Rasulullah agreed to give up any Muslim that came from Makkah to Medina, to give up any kafir that wanted to take refuge with Rasulullah from Quraysh. He would give them up. Rasulullah gave up so many things. He also said that they will go back, they will not complete Umrah this year. And they agreed with the Quraysh then. And subhanAllah, Rasulullah tanazala an ashya kathira. He gave up, and he gave up many things, which are from the rights of the Muslims. Yet Allah has called this a great victory. Why? Because truly it was a great victory, because a couple of years after that, because of the peace that they had between themselves, Islam was allowed to spread, and it soon overtook the numbers that Quraysh had, and they were able to take over Makkah in a shorter amount of time than they ever thought possible. So this is the reason why Rasulullah actually entered into the house and he found the people not doing it. So Salama said, Ya Rasulullah, you go out, you slaughter your camel and you shave your head. You slaughter your camel and you shave your head, and at that point, insha'Allah, I'm sure the people will follow you. So this is what he did. He went out, he shaved his head, and he slaughtered the camel, and people followed the advice. By the way, just as a point of benefit for everybody, does anyone know how you slaughter a camel? Yeah, there are three ways in which you can do dhabh in Islam. The first way is by actually putting the animal to the ground and actually cutting their neck. And this is what you do for anything the size of a cow and anything smaller. The second thing is that you do with an animal the size of a giraffe, or the size of a camel and above, such as a giraffe, for example, because a giraffe is allowed to eat. What would you do? You take a dagger, you come from the side. Imagine that this is the neck. This is the neck of the camel. All right. You come from the side and stab it where the neck actually meets the body, and you stab it over here, and then the blood will flow. And this is the second way of actually slaughtering a camel. Of course, you should Bismillah before doing that. Because why is that the case? Because some of the camels are so huge, and some of the Bedouin Arabs are small people, so they couldn't put the camels down. You need 20 camels, because camels were really strong creatures, mashallah. And the third way is when they are wild. So this is all domesticated stuff. When it's wild, then all you have to do is throw a spear or shoot an arrow or use a gun, but saying Bismillah before that. So these are the three ways of the. Anyway, that's just a point of benefit. Back to the main topic. Main topic is take the advice. Another way, and this is the 11th way. The 11th way that we're going to talk about today, the last way, and that is that Rasulullah would be with his wives by guiding them and instructing them. And this is a point which is truly very important. That Rasulullah used to wake them up at night. And as the hadith state, that there is not a single husband, and it's authentic hadith in Muslim, that there is not a single Muslim that wakes up in the night, that he sees his wife asleep. He tries to wake her, but she doesn't want to wake. Then he takes a little bit of water and he sprinkles on her face. Then she gets up and prays with him, except that it is written for both of them that they are from the dhakirina wa dhakirat Allah kathira. They are from those who remember Allah, the men and the women who remember Allah a lot. Also another narration in Bukhari, Rasulullah had said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is amazed with the husband who gets up in the night and wakes his wife up and they pray together in the middle of the night. Allah is amazed with them. Truly amazing stuff, subhanAllah. Allah is amazed with them. Why? Because they're a team, they're functioning as a team together, and they're worshipping Allah together. And this was the whole purpose of marriage. To be together as a team working for the religion. My brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want our marriage to become a holy matrimony. Allah doesn't want our marriages to become like we have made it these days, which is a lovey-dovey character type marriage that we can just have a honeymoon and have a nice time and go to the Lake District or something and go and have a cuppa there, or have a nice day, or go down to Australia and have a good day on the beach. No, this is not exactly what is intended in Islam to be a marriage. Rather, from marriage, Allah Azza wa Jalla wants a partnership to worship Allah. And this is the whole purpose of marriage. If a marriage is not achieving these goals, or worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the marriage is not achieving its stated purpose. And it is at that point that the husband and the wife become enemies of one another. Allah says in the Qur'an, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, inna fi amwalikum wa azwajikum aduwwun lakum fahdharhum. O you who believe, verily in your wives and in your wealth is an enemy for you, so be wary of them. Imagine this. And for the wives as well, verily in your money, my sisters, and also in your husbands is an enemy for you, so be wary of them. Why are they your enemies? They are your enemies, of course, if they take you away from Allah. But they are your friends if they bring you close to Allah. They're your enemies if they make you think about wasting money. But they're your friends if they make you think about doing charity. They're your enemies if they make you sleep a lot and have a nice time. But they're your friends if they make you wake up at night and pray tahajjud with them. This is the point of the verse that we must understand. We must work together to be good to each other. The wives must do as we have talked about in the first lecture, which is to be truly and take the examples of those role models from the past. To truly take the examples and to improve their lives and the situation between the husbands and themselves, and also between themselves and their kids. Whereas the husbands need to really understand how to be with their wives, so that insha'Allah they can live together, they can live in harmony, they can live in peace, and they can truly be helpers of one another. As Allah says in the Qur'an, that on that day, everyone will be al-akhillau yawma idin, ba'duhum li ba'din aduwwun illa al-muttaqin. On that day, the akhillah, the very beloved brothers and sisters, the very beloved, the ashiqa, the akhillah, the close brothers and sisters, brothers to each other, close brothers to each other. In one tafsir of the verse from the Salaf, this means ashiqa, meaning close brothers who are blood brothers in Islam. Allah is intending them, or Allah means people who are really close friends. They will be enemies of one another on the Day of Judgment, except for the muttaqeen, except for the believers, those who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you fear Allah along with your wife, you will be friends with her on the Day of Judgment. However, if you disobeyed Allah with your wife, then you will be enemies. Bismillah, alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. The brothers are all writing questions so that I don't know who they are. So that's funny. This is usually what happens in a sister's talk or something. Brothers start writing questions instead of putting their hands up. It's hilarious. But anyway, okay. Let me just answer a couple of questions. It says here, how can we encourage women to give more charity? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the authentic hadith in Bukhari, it said, Ya ma'ashar nisa, said, oh gathering of women, give charity, for verily I saw that the majority of the people of Jahannam are women. And so Rasulullah said, Ya Rasulullah, why are the majority of women of Jahannam? Why are the majority of people in Jahannam women? And so Rasulullah said, this is because you see, you get good, you receive good from your husbands, but then you see one thing of bad from them, and you say that you never saw anything good from them at all, because of that one single thing of bad. And this is a problem which in general women have. In general women have that. I don't know why they jump to conclusions. Or just because of one thing, subhanAllah, all the good that the man has done to them is usually forgotten. This is true, isn't it? The Rasul is mentioning this, so it must be true. And even if the women say it's not true, well, the hadith says it's true, so it has to be true. So please, it is true. The reality is women do say that, and this is not liked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, it is serious enough for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put you in Jahannam as well. And this is something which you have to realize, my beloved sisters in Islam. That in reality, this is something which is qabih, which is disliked, and it is filthy, and it is really disgusting that you should, like for example, you go to your father or your mother and say, you never did nothing for me. Is that true? That is great uquq, that is great sin to say that. What about your husband who also has a huge right, and perhaps even more right than your own parents in one way or the other? And subhanAllah, so this is why limit yourselves. It says here, how can we encourage women to give more charity? First of all, women may not have cash, but they have other things which they do not really use, like gold. What are you keeping that gold for? For example, all that tola of gold that you have been given at your time of marriage. What are you using the gold for? Are you just saying, okay, my husband, every time it's time for zakat, please could you pay the zakat for my gold? Which is usually what a lot of women do. It is not right, inshallah. You should pay the zakat on your own, and please, my advice to you is to actually give that gold away, to give that charity as much as possible. If you do not have money, then there are other ways in which you can help as well. Perhaps help in dawah projects, perhaps help by cooking a cake, for example, or baking a pie, or making some curry, for example, and then selling it, or making a day in which you actually sell that food to raise money to give for charity. Perhaps you can help out in a Islamic dawah cause, so that you could look after the expense that would have been saved, that would have been spent in actually trying to hire people to do that job. Perhaps you may have IT skills, so you can do a website and save someone money in actually doing that website. Perhaps you have some other sort of skills. Perhaps you have good English, so you can edit articles for websites, or you can edit articles for newspapers, or Islamic dawah programs. There are many things that you can do. Charity is not limited to only money, but it is truly a very large and a very widespread word. Charity is everything that can be deemed as charity, inshallah. Anything that is of value that we may require. If you have money, my advice to you is to give that money away as much as possible. In fact, we find Rasulullah ﷺ having said that the first of you who will follow me after I die will be the one who has the longest hand. And so all the wives of Rasulullah measured their hands, and they found that this was not the real criterion, because the one with the longest hand didn't end up dying. But Salama radiallahu anha ended up dying the first, and was with Rasulullah the first. Why? Because in reality, the person who gives charity, why? Because what Rasulullah really meant was, you have the longest hand, meaning that you actually give more charity, or your hand reaches up to more people. That's why your hand is longer. This is what Rasulullah truly intended by that. Also, when you give charity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, we mentioned all those things. Allah has mercy on you, Allah has rahmah on you, Allah gives you more. And plus, in reality, what Rasulullah was saying in this verse, in this hadith, when he said, the first of you who will follow me will be the one who gives more charity, is what he's really saying is, the one who will truly follow me first is the one who loves me the most. Because remember, the hadith states that if you truly love me, then poverty or poorness will reach you faster than me. Why? Because you will give so much charity, because you will divorce this world and you will embrace the akhirah. And this is why truly poverty will reach you, because you truly love me, love Rasulullah ﷺ, and so you will give more charity. And this is why you deserve to be the first to meet Rasulullah ﷺ, because you love him more. Indirectly. And so this is something which you must understand, my sisters in Islam. If you truly want to be from those women who are righteous, and truly wish to protect yourself, and to remove the sins that you do, then you must give charity. You must give charity. In fact, after the statement of Rasulullah ﷺ, wherein he actually told women to give charity, and he said that he saw that most of the women of Jahannam most of the people of Jahannam to be women, all the women, as it was reported that Bilal radiallahu anhu came with his thobe, and he actually put his thobe out like that, and all the women started to take the huli, and they take the bangles off and all their necklaces off and throw it at Bilal, meaning throw it, and so Bilal was gathering all of that for charity. So you must give charity and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as possible in it. Charity will only increase your wealth. مَا نَقَصَ مَالٌ مِنْ صَدَقَةٍ, as Rasulullah said, that charity never decreases wealth. And also Rasulullah asked the people, أَيُّكُمْ مَالُ وَارِثِهِ أَحَبُّ إِلَيْهِ مِمَالِهِ. Who amongst you, it's authentic hadith in Bukhari, who amongst you is the money of his inheritors more beloved to him than his own money? The companion said, Ya Rasulullah, there is not anyone amongst us who our own money is more beloved to us than the money of our inheritors. So Rasulullah said, that which you have given in charity is your money, and that which you leave behind is the money of your inheritors. It says here, who are the women that we should learn about? State them by name, please. My advice to you regarding women to learn about is first of all, try and learn about the women of the past, the women around Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ibn Sa'd rahimahullah has a book about the women Hawla Rasul, Nisa Hawla Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the women around Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is a good book, inshallah, in which you can learn about who the women were, what they excelled in, what they were great in, what they were amazing in. Learn about them. Also learn about the mothers of the great scholars, such as the mothers of the scholars of the 4 Imams. And I'm sure if you look into a deep biography of the 4 Imams, as a brother was mentioning to me, Dr. Hisham, I think Awadi? Yeah, Dr. Hisham Awadi has his tapes, I think on 12 tape series on the 4 Imams, and he has a discussion of the parents or the mothers of the 4 Imams. That would be interesting to listen to, inshallah. Please try and benefit from that. Also, try and read about the women of the great heroes of Islam, such as Salahuddin Ayyubi, and read about what they used to do, and why they were so righteous, and why they were so pure, because they will give you more practical examples of how they were actually, how you can also actually be with your husband. Also read about the women of our times. Let me tell you about this woman, and this sheikh that I know about. He was a student of Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah. His name was Abu Yusuf, and he came to Australia for a dawah trip. He stayed with us for about 3 months or so, and then on his way to Sydney, there was a car accident and he died on the way to Sydney, subhanAllah. He was a great scholar actually. He was one of the top students of Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah. Abu Yusuf, rahimahullah, used to say, and he used to remember his wife who had passed away, and he used to say, may Allah have mercy on him, I have never seen a woman like that. He said, what? I have never seen a woman like that. I would enter into the house and she would run and leave everything that she was doing, run to my feet, throw herself at my feet to take my shoes off. He said, amazing, I have never seen a woman like that. She would run to my feet to take my shoes off. Then she would take my socks off, and then she would bring a piece of cloth wetted with water, and she would rub my feet with it. And she would do this every single time. Every single time. And amazing. Amazing. You know, our sisters want our brothers to be princes, then truly you need to be the princess first, inshallah. Do it, inshallah. Be the better person. Be the better person in the relationship. You will find your husband also being pleasing to you. After the talk today, don't go and say, hey, did you hear what the Sheikh said? No. Don't do that. Why don't you be good, inshallah, and you be that nice person so that, inshallah, your husbands are also good. And the brothers are all worried. That's why they're smiling now. It's okay, I think. Okay. Alhamdulillah. You know, I like Bradford. All my friends over here, so I joke around a little bit here. Please don't take offense to anything I say. So inshallah, Allahu musta'an. Okay. So please try and be the better person, inshallah. So your husband will be your prince for you, inshallah. Okay. It says here, my husband claims to follow Islam, grows a beard, prays, goes to dawah programs. However, he cannot control his anger, and therefore treats his wife very badly when angry. Please give me some advice on how to deal with this. Subhanallah, anger is a problem which a lot of the companions of Rasulullah also had, such as Zubayr radiallahu anhu. He was a righteous man, but when he got angry, he would be angry. And when you be angry, you don't want him to be anywhere but on the battlefield. And subhanAllah, it was well known that Zubayr had tremendous anger, and he would take out his anger on his women. And this is something which is really disliked. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permitted us to hit our women, but in a manner which is غير مبرح, in a manner which does not hurt them, in a manner which is only to bring them to cause them to understand that the matter is serious, but not in order to cause them any physical harm or to actually cause them any pain. In fact, some of the narrations of the companions state in the tafsir of this verse that to actually hit them with a small twig, or to hit them with a small miswak, for example, like that, on their hands, like this, meaning, you know, like this. And subhanAllah, we do this with the wives already, don't we? We're a bit rough with our wives over here. And we do this more than just like that, subhanAllah. But this is the extent of how much you can actually hit them. And this is amazing. So it's not really hitting even, is it? And this is why perhaps even when you translate this verse in the West, you should be careful to actually translate the word as hitting, but rather you should translate to be closer to causing them to pay attention, or another word similar, closer to that meaning. Wherein, because if you told them hitting, this is what they understand. When these days, a husband and wife, they pat on each other like this, right? Very hard. This is considered hitting in Islam. Whereas in our culture, in our time, it's not considered hitting in the West. True? Over here, hitting is bashing. And subhanAllah, this is what we should not be doing. And so don't translate that verse in that way. Coming back to the question, what advice can we give this brother? My advice to this brother is, sister, if you can tell when the brother does get angry, tell him first of all, you're getting angry, and anger is from shaitan. And if it is indeed in a matter which is permissible that it is from shaitan, then go and make wudu and sit down. If you're standing, then sit down. If you're sitting, then lie down. And if you don't have wudu, then go and make wudu. And even if you have wudu, then still go ahead and make wudu. And this will bring the anger of the shaitan down, the poison of the shaitan in your head down. And these are the ways that Rasulullah told us to actually stop our anger. Also, if the brother is actually being physically violent, then this is unacceptable behavior from the brother. Unacceptable. I mean, what a weak person this brother would be to actually hit his wife when he's angry, and to actually make him feel that he's actually a macho man, you know, that he has to take his anger out on his woman. Rather, this is a weak person, and this person should be ashamed of himself. This is something which he should not be doing. He cannot abuse his wife. And if he does abuse his wife, then it is permissible for the wife to seek a divorce from that husband. It is impermissible for a husband to harm her in any way, even forcefully sleep with her. That would be incorrect as well in the deen. That would be considered to be forceful ijbar. And over here, the fuqaha of Islam consider that to be a reason to actually seek a divorce. A permissible reason to actually seek divorce. Because remember, you can't seek divorce for any reason, because if you were to seek divorce for any reason, then you would not smell Jannah. This is for the wives, for the sisters. But if your husband is like this with you, then you can seek divorce from them. A couple of other things. What advice do you give to a husband who constantly teases his wife about taking a second wife? Yani, this guy was teasing his wife, a second wife, and he's not going to do it. He's teasing, man, look at this guy. And all he can do is tease, and he's not serious. I mean, if he's serious, then he's miskin, and he's miskin. I mean, if he's truly serious, then go ahead and do it. Yeah, go ahead and do it. And yalla, right now. Go ahead and do it. The point is that these sort of brothers are being foolish. They're teasing their wives in a way which they should not. And you know that women are jealous creatures, and Allah has made them jealous. I mean, you would be jealous, beyond imagine. If she teased you, for example, about this. If she teased you about, for example, how many brothers had actually proposed to her before she got married to you. Oh man, that would be it. And imagine the anger, the jealousy you'd have at that point. And so try and have empathy with your wife, and understand the jealousy that she can have when you tease with her as well. Don't tease. Explain to her, if you're really serious about it, explain to her that, listen, I think I need to take another wife, so please do not be unhappy about it. I understand it's difficult upon you. I understand that there is some sort of harm that may come to you from it, but I am not committing dhulm, because Allah would not have permitted it if there was dhulm in it. There's a difference between harm and dhulm. Dhulm is to do something in other than its place. Harm is to actually decrease the amount of benefit or barakah that a thing has. Here in a second marriage, there is no decrease in barakah, but there is decrease in the amount of time the husband spends with the wife. And that is why there is some sort of harm brought to the first wife. But it does not mean that there is any sort of oppression at all. So sisters must understand this, and inshallah appreciate the reason why the husband needs to take it, inshallah. And the husband should, inshallah, stop joking about this and be serious. Okay, it says, your husbands these days focus on wives' negatives rather than positives. For example, rather than calling one, oh, white one, or oh, pretty one, they call us by our shortcomings. Example, oh, fatty. Please advise us. Allahu musta'an. I'm sure they're saying that as a joke. I'm sure they're saying that as a joke. I'm sure, inshallah, they don't mean it. And inshallah, look, it's embarrassing. I don't know why husbands would say that. Why husbands would say that. In fact, I remember our Sheikh was telling us about how we should lie to our wives sometimes. And he was telling us how we should lie to our wives sometimes. And of course you need to lie sometimes to actually make her feel good, right? Sometimes you don't feel really good and say, oh, I feel good. Or the food, for example, is killing you. I say, alhamdulillah, that's alright. Sometimes you need to do that. I remember our Sheikh was saying, once, Allahu, so funny. And he was saying that, sometimes, a friend of his, used to get up in the morning, and his wife had boofy hair, and she would get up in the morning and she'd have all this boofy hair in the morning, and he would look at her and say, Wallahi, I've never seen anything more beautiful. Allah, Ustad. Alhamdulillah, no worries, nothing wrong with that, you see? Because I'm sure the wife understands that, he's just trying to be polite. It's being polite, inshallah. It's not a joke or a lie, inshallah. It's being polite. Yeah? Thank you. I think the word was very nice. Thank you. That's nice, alhamdulillah. Yeah, just being polite, alhamdulillah. So this is being polite, inshallah. And I think logical people, the way that you guys are, wives and our brothers and sisters here, we all understand, inshallah, there's a difference between lying and a difference between being polite, inshallah. So when you're saying these sort of statements, inshallah, you're being polite, you're not being bad. I urge that brother who says, things which are not pleasing to the wife, to refrain from that, inshallah, and to say beautiful things, inshallah. To say beautiful things. I know sometimes, the beauty of a woman goes away sometimes when they have kids, for a husband. But the point that must be made over here is that initial beauty is replaced by an inner beauty. And the inner beauty is that you have seen how this woman is raising your child, and the difficulties that this woman is going through in raising your child. At night when she can't sleep, when the child is crying, when you are snoring yourself, and she is trying to calm that child down. And you think about all of that. So this is why, even though the initial love and the attraction may be lost a little bit, because of her having children or whatever, because her physical appearance goes down in her beauty, but yet it is replaced by something stronger than that. And that is a love built upon respect, which is the true love. The first was lust in reality. But in reality, the second one is a true love, which is, insha'Allah, stronger and much more stable and much more authentic than the first one. It says here, there are many examples of role models for Islamic history, but who would you recommend as contemporary role models for females? I know many sisters who are following non-Muslim female role models. It is very difficult at this point for us to think about role models in our time now. Why? Because we are at a crossroads in the Muslim world at the moment. We're at a crossroads. We are at a stage in which Muslims are living a new chapter in history, that which has never been repeated before, that which will probably not happen again, and that which is happening for the first time now. So it is very, very difficult to really find out what we should be doing. Rather, the situation is that every person is a role model according to his circumstances and according to his situation, and according to the way that he sees how things should be done. The scholars of the past, they used to take two types of teachers. The first teacher they would take is a teacher in knowledge, and the second teacher that they would take, or the second role model they would take, is a teacher in manners. And this is why Al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah said, اتَّخَذْتُ شَيْخًا لِلْعِلْمِ وَشَيْخًا لِلْأَدَبِ. I took one sheikh for knowledge, and I took another sheikh for adab, for manners. And if you were to break it up in this way, and instead of searching for a person, or one sister or one brother who is complete in everything, rather search for one person who is stronger or more complete in one thing, and search for another person who is stronger or more complete in another thing. That would be the best way. That is my advice to you. To see for a person who is, for example, very, very good in knowledge, so seek knowledge from him. Someone else who is very good in manners, so learn manners from him. Someone who is very dedicated in the da'wah, so learn how he is dedicated in the da'wah from him. Someone who is very good with his wife, so learn from him how he is good with his wife. But in this way, you can truly be multifaceted in your role model, and you make up your own role model, and in that way, you become the role model for the youth today, inshallah. Right, just a couple of questions. We don't have time to answer them all. I apologize, inshallah. There might be some other way that they can get answers to them. It says, could you explain the concept of wedding rings? Yes, wedding rings were actually meant to be put upon your wedding, your ring finger, because as the legend says, there is an artery or a vein that actually runs in that finger that actually goes to the heart. You know what? Unfortunately, we have to disappoint all the romantic people and tell them that all the veins of the hand run to the heart. Alhamdulillah. So now there is nothing called wedding rings in Islam at the moment. Alhamdulillah, and it is a practice of the disbelievers. And I advise my sisters to not use that practice.